Hello, I'm back in my favourite little forest again, and it is absolutely bolting! It is very cold today, as you can see from the snow behind me. And after me saying I'm not going to be able to practice anything with micro spikes or anything before I go, because we don't get snow here, it snowed quite a lot this week. It's actually like nearly all gone now, so this is just what's left over. But my micro spikes are currently sitting at mile 160, I think, so I don't have those to practice with at the minute, unfortunately. But anyway, today I'm gonna be doing a PCT Q&A, which is really exciting because I've had some really great questions, and it's really good for me to ponder over these questions as well, because it kind of helps me think about, you know, like for example, the resupply, and just go over that in my head. So we'll get started. So I'm gonna start with the question that I must get asked the most anytime I talk about hiking the PCT, and that is, will I be bringing a gun? First of all, I flippin' wouldn't know what to do with a gun. I would probably end up shooting myself in the foot or something. And aside from the actual weight of carrying a gun, yeah, there's also things like, I mean, if it's gonna be practical, you would have to have that really accessible. So like basically carrying it on you or carrying it at all times, because like, let's say for example, you come across a bear that's gonna attack you. You know, you're not gonna say, hang on a minute bear, while I just take off my backpack and get out my gun and shoot you. And I also wouldn't be sure about the licensing laws, because I'm passing through 3 different states as well. Like it could be different. But yeah, I have no interest in carrying one. I wouldn't know how to use it. And also like the reasons why you would need a gun. I mean, I think people are mostly thinking about self-protection from animals. So actually thinking about that, I looked online just to see, you know, what the stats are on PCT deaths by animals. And I actually came across a really good article on the website Halfway Anywhere. This is one of my favorite websites. I highly recommend it. But yes, I've got it here. So this guy talks about the through hiker deaths on the PCT, and in total there have been 15 fatalities of PCT through hikers since its existence. The causes have been 6 from falling, 3 from heat stroke, 2 from drowning, 1 from cars, 1 from falling trees, 1 from high altitude pulmonary edema, 1 unknown, and then there has been 0 from hypothermia, lightning, murder, mountain lions, bears, snakes, spiders, alien abduction. So to me, yeah, the main cause of death on the PCT from through hikers has been falling. So in terms of, do I need a gun to protect myself? If the highest risk is from things like that, then I can't imagine a gun would be useful. And overall, not to downplay the 15 deaths, because of course that is terrible, but you know, if you were to look in a year in anywhere, there's probably more deaths than that, never mind, you know, 15 deaths over the span of the Pacific Crest Trail's existence. So, you know, I think statistically the chances of death are probably lower on the trail than in normal day life, I think. But that's totally my opinion. So yes, I am not going to be carrying a gun. And that leads me on to another question that I had, which was, am I going to carry a neck knife? I have thought long and hard about this, and this is going to completely contradict what I've just said about guns, but I have decided that I'm going to start the trail with one. And if you don't know what a neck knife is, it's basically just like it's a knife that you wear around your neck, but it's designed that, you know, that you can just like pull it out of a case and then, you know, you can use it. And this reason, I believe, for me is kind of more of a psychological thing. I just feel like, you know, let's say I was in the tent at night on my own in the pure wilderness and I hear a big scary bear coming into camp. It's very unlikely that it's probably going to try and attack me. It really just wants my food. But for some reason in my head, just knowing that if, okay, I don't want to get into a fist fight with a bear with a knife, of course not, but it just for some reason brings me a little bit of peace of mind knowing that, you know, I do have something to protect myself, worst case scenario. Or like, for example, if I got into a really sketchy hitchhiking situation, you know, at least I would have something to deter someone hopefully attacking me. But I don't know, like, I'm gonna start the trail with it and yeah, see how I go. And I think also it would be quite handy to have for cutting avocados and things like that, so it is something that could be used, you know, elsewhere, because I think having a knife as well, like, you know, if say you, like, I don't know, fell over and got stuck between rocks with your backpack and couldn't get it off and had to cut the straps or something, I don't know, like, it could be quite a useful tool, and it's not a heavy thing, it's not an expensive thing. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a go. But yeah, if you've hiked the PCT before and you have any advice on that, if you think I'm mad, then feel free to let me know. Okay, next question. So I had a question about bounce boxes and how do they work for international people. If anyone watching this doesn't know what a bounce box is, it's basically a box that you fill with things like, you know, resupply things, or like tent repair gear, or like town things. You might have some like town clothes there, or, you know, like say sun cream that you can top up your sun cream. You might have spare pieces, just whatever you want to have while you're on the PCT, but not have to carry it every day. You know, you might not need this stuff every day. And basically the idea is that you pack that in a box and you post it to post offices along the way. So apparently this used to be a lot more popular a long time ago when camera film was really expensive and hard to get on trail. So people would, you know, post themselves a bounce box full of camera film and then, you know, take it in each town and then bounce it ahead again. So it is something that sounds like it could be very useful. I've also heard of a lot of people saying that it can be like a ball and chain. You know, you're kind of tied to having to be at a certain post office, and also like, you know, opening hours and things like that. So yeah, I don't know, at the minute it isn't something that I'm planning on doing. But I just realized that didn't answer the question at all. So how does it work? So because I'm not doing it, I haven't really researched it very much, but I will point you in the direction of a couple of my favourite YouTubers for the PCT. One is Lothar. I'll put his link in the description. He talks quite a bit about how it works and what he sent himself. And also Mary's Outdoor Adventures. She is from the UK, so talks a lot about, you know, different things that, you know, how it works differently for if you're from overseas. So I'm not going to give too much information on that because I don't want to give the wrong information. But in a nutshell, you basically just pack up a box and send it to a post office, and then when you get there you can take it, open it, and then you can then bounce it then to another post office. Although I think there might be rules about bouncing it if it's been opened. I'm not really sure, but yeah, at the minute I'm not looking to do that, although I've been contemplating doing that with my other tent possibly in case I change my mind, but I'm gonna think about that for now. Okay, another question that I've had is how will I eat? Will I make pit stops along the way? And also I had another question about my nutrition and what I'll be eating. So yeah, so basically what I'm doing at the minute is I'm creating a spreadsheet. This is probably going to give you a headache. I'll flash up a little screenshot of it. But I'm creating a spreadsheet that has all the resupply locations and post offices. And what I'm going to do is I will probably mostly resupply as I go, but there will be places I'm going to send boxes to myself that will have, like, say 4 or 5 days worth of food for the next section. So yeah, so how that works is it seems to be you know, maybe do about 50 to 100 miles or so walking, and then you can stop in a town, either hitchhiking to a town, or there's some on trail, and you can choose to resupply from the supermarkets there. Or, like I said, you can have a box sent to you to pick up. But of course, because I'm from overseas, I don't have the luxury of making lots of boxes and having someone send them to me. So I am getting to San Diego 3 days before I start, where I'm gonna set up like a few boxes. I'm not really sure how many. It's probably gonna be more than the average person, I think, just because I want to start off having, you know, more and then figure it out as I get there. So yeah, I'm gonna set up some boxes, and then before I start, I'm gonna post them, for example, like possibly Mount Laguna, Warner Springs. Yeah, I'm not really sure yet. I'm in the process of figuring that out. So that's generally how the resupply works. And in terms of nutrition, I have pretty well tested out the sort of thing that I'm going to be eating just from like past hikes, shakedown hikes and multi-day hikes. And I can give you an example. So on my last long distance hike, which was the Kalula Great Walk and the Fraser Island Great Walk, like back to back, yeah, how my day looked. So I started off with like porridge oats and granola with mixed nuts and lots of stuff with some milk powder in it. So yeah, basically like a granola, just trying to like pack as many calories in a breakfast as possible. And then I would start walking, and then I would have a, what do you call them, Cliff Bar or something similar. And yeah, other wee snacks, nibbles, trail mix as I go. And then for lunch, I've been using Huel foods a lot. These are nutritionally complete meal shakes, and they also do savory food. So I would shake that up for lunch, and it is quite tasty. I do really like it, and it's full of basically, you know, all your micronutrients and your amino acids, and it's even got probiotics in it. It's basically, it's like a space food. It has pretty much everything you need. So yeah, as far as hiking food goes, like I feel pretty good having that. And then I'll have, you know, maybe some other nibbles with lunch, and then I'll stop again before dinner to have a snack. And then for dinner, like I was saying, Huel, they do a savory food, which is, you know, yeah, you can have things like macaroni and cheese and pasta, and it is a dried food, so it's super lightweight and it is super tasty. And yeah, you just have to boil water, and yeah, you just, you know that you're getting all your nutrition that you need. I'll leave a link to it if you're interested. For me, I feel pretty good with this combo. Yeah, so that's an example of the sort of things I'll be eating. I'm sure this is going to change as I go and probably get sick of things. And I also want to try some American food. It's going to be really interesting. It's going to be very different. So I'm a little bit like complicated because I don't eat pork or beef. I haven't done so in about 4 or 5 years. And I also try to follow, like I was gluten-free for different health reasons for about 2 years, and I've started reintroducing that just because I think, you know, it's going to really help to have more choices of food. So, but I kind of try to like limit the gluten that I eat, and yeah, like I said, no beef and no pork. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Like obviously I'm not going to die over anything. Like if I was like in the wilderness, you know, and like was lost, like I would just eat anything. So yeah, I'm gonna see how that goes out there. Okay, next question. How have you planned for shipping stuff in and out of the trail? For example, swapping desert clothes for cold, wet and bear cans. That is a great question. So yeah, so a lot of people, they have a resupply person, and they'll have, you know, say they're like Sierra box that they'll get someone to post them to Kennedy Meadows, and they can switch out gear. And I am very jealous of people that can do that, because of course I don't have that luxury. But I am very, very grateful that there was someone in the PCT Europe page who was lending people bear cans. So he has said that he will send me one when I get to Kennedy Meadows. That's where I'm going to need it from. So yeah, so that's that covered, and then I'll send it back to him at the end of that section. So in terms of other things like winter things, I am basically going to be carrying the same gear the whole way through. So aside from the bear can and the microspikes and ice axe. So at the minute, I bought my microspikes through the Fowler program, I think that's the name, which is a great program helping hikers on the PCT keep safe. I'll put a link to that as well, because if you're going to do the PCT, definitely check it out, because I got 30% off them. And it also works that I can pick it up at, I think it's about mile 160, just before things get sketchy in the San Jacinto Mountains. So that is where I'm going to pick up my micro spikes, unless if the snow's still really bad when I get there, they can ship it down to Campo or wherever I need them. And also with the ice axe, the company also does ice axes, so I'm going to see about, I was going to buy it here and bring it with me and post it ahead, but I'm actually going to see if I can buy it and pick it up with my micro spikes, which is near Paradise Valley Cafe. So that's where I'll be picking up my winter gear, and then after I do the San Jacinto and the sketchy parts, then I will post my ice axe and my micro spikes to Kennedy Meadows South for the Sierras. And then after that, I don't know what I'm gonna do with those. Yeah, I don't know, sell them, maybe ship them to someone, and I don't know, I haven't figured that part out yet. And in terms of clothes, my clothes are pretty much going to stay the same, because in the desert it can get really, really cold at night. So I'm going to want my winter clothes, and that includes my down trousers and my down socks and my down coat, my big warm woolly hat. Like, I'm the coldest person on the earth, so I think my clothes are probably going to stay the same. Maybe if I get to the Sierras, maybe I'll add on another layer if I need to. Okay, next question. Did your return flight have a fixed date or flexi? I love this question because this is such a good question, and honestly this blows my mind. So I ended up booking a return flight, and I saved, how much did I save? I saved about £400 over booking a single. Like, isn't that insane? So basically, it cost me around £650 for my flight from Dublin to San Diego and Seattle back to Dublin. If I was to book just the Dublin to San Diego, it was going to be about £1,000. Like, that doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. So basically, it's cheaper to book a return flight and just throw your return ticket in the bin and just go out. It's crazy. But anyway, you can also so I booked it through Aer Lingus, and at the moment they have where there's 0 fees to change your flight. You just have to pay the difference. So actually, like, it worked out pretty well. So if I have to change my date or airport, I can do that. Because I don't know when I'm gonna finish, you know. I just was like, right, what's 180 days after my start date, and then just book that. So at least I've got the option to change. So yeah, if you're coming from the UK or Ireland, definitely book a return. Okay, this person asked 2 questions here. Are through hikes like the PCT and AT well known in Europe, or a bit more obscure? And what is your ideal trail magic? I love that question. Okay, so are through hikes like the PCT and AT well known? I have to say, the amount of people that have asked me, where are you going in April, when I say I'm away for 6 months, and I say I'm away to do the Pacific Crest Trail, most of the time people are like, what's that? You know, so I put out a poll on Instagram just to see what the general consensus was, and to my surprise, it was like 80% for it being well known. So obviously it's a lot more well known than I thought, but I don't know if that's because a lot of the people I'm friends with on Instagram are outdoors people. I'm not sure, but typically in my life I feel like a lot of people don't know what they are. But yeah, who knows. So that was the outcome of the poll, was 82% of people said that the PCT and AT and through hikes like that are well known in Europe. And what is my favourite trail magic? If you are watching this and you don't know what trail magic is, basically these best people in the world called trail angels that help support the trail occasionally come and maybe like leave out like cans of Coke or apples or fruit, or, you know, I've even seen pictures of people like with barbecues cooking for through hikers. Like, amazing people, so amazing. And if you can imagine like walking for, you know, like 1,000 miles and then stumbling across like, I don't know, ice cream or something, like, how good would that be? So my favorite, My ideal trail magic, I thought long and hard over this question. It's probably going to change when I'm out there because I might crave some weird things. But strangely, when I hike, there's always one thing that I really crave, and it's pizza with balsamic vinegar. Oh my goodness, I just love it. So I can imagine, because I'll probably be eating a lot of sweet stuff, I can imagine I will probably crave savory things. I would get so excited over anything. Like, you know, if you give me a piece of lettuce out there, I'd be like, oh. Yeah, pizza would be high on my list, or oh my goodness, ice cream would be so good. So yeah, so I think pizza or ice cream would be so good. Do you know what? Just chips and salt and vinegar would be so good. Or like, you know, a veggie burger would be amazing. Or I would just be happy to have anything. Like, oh flip me, like a can of Fanta lemon or something. It's funny because like I eat so healthily in my like usual day to day, but when I'm hiking it's just like, give me all the food, you know. So I would just be so grateful to have anything, even just like clean water. I'm sure I'll be like, this is the best thing ever. But that is a great question. Okay, next question. How do you feel about all the posts about the snow on social media? So if you're not following the PCT at the minute, it is looking very sketchy out there right now. There has been so many people that have already dropped their permits and decided to change year. Yeah, at the minute it is breaking records. Last I heard, I think it is about 250% higher snow levels than the usual year, and also apparently it's going to be the highest snow year in, I think, a century, possibly. I'm not really sure. I keep hearing different things, but yeah, in a nutshell, it is looking really brutal out there, and I just could not get over the fact that there was snow at the Mexican border. So I've been watching people's vlogs on the PCT like this whole year, you know, over all different years, and usually, you know, people are like flipping, you know, getting, you know, near getting rescued from heat exhaustion, dehydration, and you know, it's like full on like desert, and people are usually like racing to get shade to stay cool. And then recently I've been seeing, you know, pictures of people in the PCT now, and at Campo there being snow. Like, that is just mind-blowing. And yeah, people are starting from Campo with snowshoes and crampons and stuff. So like, to me, I had never heard of this before. So yeah, so of course there's been a lot of talk in the Facebook groups. Like, a lot of people are freaking out, like, you know, rightly so. It is a bit scary out there looking, and not only the snow, like, you have to think, if the snow, like, can you imagine when that starts to melt, what the river crossings are going to be like, when they're usually sketchy by the looks of things anyway. So yeah, a lot of people, rightly so, are kind of a little bit scared. But how do I feel about it? Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I am still going for it. Like, I think, to be honest, yeah, I don't know, like, I think I'm just so overwhelmed thinking about the gear choices and the resupply choices, that thinking about the snow and stuff, it's not the top of my concerns at the moment. It probably should be. But yeah, how do I feel about it? Like, I'm not obviously ecstatic, because, you know, as I've mentioned in so many of my videos, I am the coldest person ever. So like, for me, I was actually kind of looking forward to walking through a hot desert. And now I am like, am I gonna have to wear flipping snowshoes walking through the desert? But yeah, so it is what it is. I'm not gonna stress about it. There's no point in stressing about it. You know, it'll be what it'll be. If I get to a place and I feel like this is too sketchy, then I'll skip it. You know, at the end of the day, my priority is coming back home alive, preferably. And yeah, if I have to skip a section, that's what's going to happen. So yeah, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, it's going to be cool to be part of a year that's going to go in the history books. So yeah, so that's how I feel about that. Woo! Okay, it started chucking it down there, so I've just resorted to putting on my poncho. So I'll try to get through the rest of these pretty fast. Okay, next question. What is your biggest fear for the PCT aside from not finishing? Okay, so that is quite an easy one. I have mentioned this a few times before in my videos, but yeah, I am absolutely terrified of getting unwell again and getting to that place I was like 2 years ago, because that was the scariest and worst and most horrific time of my life. And yeah, I'm terrified that I'll run myself down and get ill again. Basically, that's it. It is the top fear in my head. In every single day, it haunts my dreams. You know, it burdens me. It really does. It really does. And it's a big part of why I'm doing it, because I need to prove to myself that my body is strong and that I can do it. Flip, it's really starting to pour down. But yeah, I'm not going to go into that too much. If you like want to know what the crack was with that, then you know, I talked quite a bit about it in my day 10 of the Comedic Caval, so if you're interested, watch that video. But yeah, that's my greatest life fear at the minute. Another fear would be that I'm gonna miss my dogs, and they're getting so old as well. Amber is 17, no, she's 16, she's turning 17 like next month. Pepsi is 13, and like I hate to be away from them when they're that age as well, because you're like, what if something happens to them? But yeah, I'm gonna miss them so much. Another fear, what's another fear? Okay, like yeah, I am gonna be scared shitless when I'm camping alone at night. I just know it, especially being in an unfamiliar place with like different animals that I've never seen before. You know, like that is going to scare the shite out of me, because I just know when I was in Australia camping in dingo territory that I didn't sleep a wink, and anytime I heard like a twig break, you know, I'm like this, and then I sit and I'm like hyper alert just listening to twigs breaking, and yeah, I get really freaked out, and I know I'm gonna be scared. I know I'm gonna be scared at night, but it's not gonna stop me. Fear is not gonna stop me. You know, like it's so normal to be like scared of something like this, but you know, I'm not gonna let it stop me. So yeah, so I think that's my another fear is, yeah, I'm scared of being cold, like really cold, because I hate the cold. I really do. I'm really scared of just getting so cold I can't heat up again, because that's not nice. And like talking about the fear of not finishing, I wouldn't say like I have a fear of not finishing. Like I would say my fear of the reason that's gonna make me not finish, you know, and in my head it would be getting ill again would be the only reason, or getting an injury. Like, you know, they're worse than the not finishing, I think. But yeah, generally, like I'd say I'm most excited. Like I'm really terrified as well, but mostly excited. So okay, last question. So this is one that I get quite a lot. Am I doing this on my own? Well, I did try to get some people to join me, but no one wanted to. So yep, I am doing this on my own. I am starting this on my own, but I don't expect to stay on my own, because I am so looking forward to meeting other hikers. And like, it seems really common on the PCT to make trail families, and because you're all going the same direction, I'm going to keep bumping into people, leapfrogging people, and yeah, hopefully grouping up with some really cool people. So yes, I will start alone, but hopefully I don't finish alone. And I think that is all the questions. If there's any that I missed, hopefully not, or if there's any more questions, then feel free to chuck up my way. And if there's enough, then maybe I'll make a second one. It is only 1 month till I go. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it, which is so exciting. And yeah, I'm starting to feel quite confident, so getting really excited. Yeah, so that's all for this video. Thank you for sending all the questions. It's been really fun thinking them over, and I'll see you on the next video.